All right, welcome back to Robotics and Make Code, and we're going to start off creating our first actual robot here. In our last time we chatted, we really just showed off a picture here, kind of looked at the process of downloading a program, a really basic program, to your Mindstorms brick, to the CPU, and then ran it. But I wouldn't call it so far a robot. Really, this is just a computer here. So I wanted to start looking at a couple things and a couple different options here. So remember, when we start with our program, we have two different sections. We have an on start. These are things that happen once and only once, and sometimes you need things to happen only once during the startup. And then you have what's called a forever loop. These are things that just keep happening over and over again until the robot is essentially shut down. So at the moment, I've just got showing a little word, hello world. Some of you put pictures or emotions or other things like that there. I'm going to just drag that over to the garbage here to see how that works. And let's start with actually moving something or getting some physical interaction with our robot here. Generally, you're going to probably start off with the motors here. And if you click on the motors, you've got a couple different options here. Well, a lot of different options. Notice they've got a large motor. We've got a run and we've got a ramp. So run basically means just hit the power, go. And at the moment here, you're running at 50%. Notice you can choose. I'm gonna put this in there forever so you can see it here, just for some different options. Here you get to actually choose the different motors. You've got the large motor, which are the ones that look like this guy here. You've got the small motor, which or the medium motor here, which it should switch hopefully in a second here. There we go. It's this one that spins around like that is the medium-sized motor. And then you've also got both of the motors or two motors in one go. Notice you've got it as A, B, B, C. You can kind of pick the different pairs there. So this is if you wanted two different things happening at the same time. Often something like a car or something would do that. In this case, I'm just going to pick one of the large motors there. And just as a reminder, if you're more comfortable typing, you don't like this drag and drop, which some more advanced people who have done a bit of coding before, you can always switch back and forth to JavaScript. And learn a little bit about how JavaScript works. Now, it's definitely something I'd recommend doing the blocks first so you can see what it is, but then you can switch back and forth so you can see how this works. We're going to stick with blocks as through my tutorials, but I want to put it out there for anybody who's got some programming background. So in this case, you can see a little picture of it happening. Now I get to choose also where that motor is plugged into and be very mindful of that because you're often going to have multiple motors running with different things. Maybe one will be wheels or a couple will be wheels. Maybe one will be an arm or something like that. In this case, I've got it plugged into A, which is great. And then I can also choose the power and I can go up to 100%, which is going to go really, really fast around. I can go down all the way to 0. You'll also notice it goes into the negative, and you might think, how do I do negative speed? And if this will come up in a second here, you can see it's going 50%. Oh, let me stop that there. And come on, you. Throw it in there. It takes sometimes a minute to update the little, there we go. And you can see now it's going the opposite direction, negative 100 speed. So the percentage is depending on the direction. Normally they go, well, I guess it depends which way you're holding it, but I would say looking at this, normally it would go clockwise, negative is counterclockwise in this orientation. So you've got that run option. You've also got to notice here a ramp. Now, ramp means rather than just go bam 100% or 50% or whatever speed, it starts from 0 and slowly moves up. And you can kind of say, well, I want to go from 0 speed to whatever percentage speed here over a certain number of seconds. So we can say, in this case, we count them in milliseconds. So you've got 500 milliseconds. So that would be a half a second it would take to go to full speed. And this is kind of handy because you can avoid some kind of jarring. You can see there how it's moving slowly around and then cranks up. So under here, we've got a couple other ones here. We've got the tank motors. This is kind of handy, especially for a lot of driving things. You are allowed to now independently control the first motor and the second motor. So if you go forward with one motor and backwards with another one, kind of like a tank, it will turn or spin around in place. Steering motors allows us to kind of give more power to one than another. And they are very similar. It's just a slightly different way of programming them. You can pause the motors, you can stop motors, an individual one, or you can stop all motors. This is for some more advanced stuff later on. So the first thing I want you to do is just plug in one of your motors to here and see if you can make it spin a little bit, and maybe try another one and do that. And then as a fun little thing, try and just hook up those motors with a wheel on them to the sides and see, can you make a interesting little car? And I want you to see, can you make it drive forward? Can you make it drive backwards? Can you make it spin around? You're going to find all sorts of design challenges as you do that. But that's our first little activity here, is to set up some motors, connect them to the brick somehow, and then download the program. And I want to see some crazy robots driving around, bashing into things, and just see how easy it is to build a simple little car with your robots.